Look, if you don't want to be depressed, it's a lot simpler and difficult than you think it is. Like basically, it's not about medication. Medication is only it's not gonna help you for a lot of reasons. But basically, you have two brain lobes for a reason, right? You know how they tell you one's with logic and reason, and the other one's like remembers faces, emotions, and melodies and stuff like that. When you have a feeling and urge and you don't act on it because of some logical confabulation that someone's giving you, you can't do this or it's gonna hurt someone's feeling, blah blah blah. Like that's you telling yourself the other side of your brain. You're telling yourself no again and again and again, and that is half of who you are. So there's chemicals that are gonna keep being released because your spine, autonomic nervous system, is trying to let you correlate information without actually talking directly. So that way that information and stuff doesn't end up like being taken over. Basically, like our brain is a bunch of colonization. You've heard where basically like your eyes, if they weren't there, then your ears would take over that part of your brain, or stuff along the lines of that. Basically, you have to segregate certain information like that. So when you just keep going to like a shit job, just ignoring like all parts of like you just, of course you're gonna be depressed. If you take medication, it's just gonna do, you know, there's a very few amount of people who are just depressed just to be depressed. But the thing is you're supposed to act on the things that are interest you. Like you're not supposed to do what you don't want to do, and to say like, well, you have to, is just to confabulate. And it's not you, it's everyone. It's like, look, we're not any different from dogs, cats, or anything. We just have a little bit more outputs, a little bit more inputs. Like there's really not anything different, and we're not meant to process information. We're meant to process affect, which is basically good and bad, how you feel. Doing the things that you feel allows your brains to communicate with each other and then solve shit, like solve problems. Basically, if, for instance, you get into a situation and like you're going based on a feeling, your left end, and it goes well, then you see it and you feel like, okay, cool, oh, wow, right? Like that was actually good to act on that feeling. Or you do the same thing and it goes bad, and then that side feels bad. Like basically it drenches the chemical. Now you have a mapping and it makes sense, right? So every time you don't act on something, there's going to be like a difference, and it's going to throw a chemical. You act on that based on how you feel. Like you have to act it out. Then after you get done acting it out, you see whether or not it's good or bad. Your brain will have that chemical, right? And then both lobes now understand. They have an understanding. This allows us to like manipulate and walk around in the world. But we really have two lobes that are, it goes a lot deeper than that, but I think that's enough for this one. And oh wait, actually, anxiety. The problem with anxiety is honestly really simple. When you concern yourself about things that you don't have control over, you're gonna have anxiety, right? Like so either you're just keep praying about, or you just keep wishing something would go away, and something that like, you know, is worrisome and you don't act on it, you just keep wanting it to go away and you hope that it does. The more you think about it and the more you don't do anything specifically, right? So like, I know I have no problem with prayer when done correctly, but understand like if you're just praying because you're nervous or scared about something, the more you think about it, the more you sit down and you do that and don't do something to actually fix it, distract yourself, you're going to bed at night and your brain's going through all the data. It's going, okay, the only thing that mattered was this thing because you were so worried about it. It pulls out everything else, and then you just sit there. Like, you know, it's a gimmick because like you're supposed to, if you're going to use it correctly, use it to sit down when you're not around anyone else and you think about your day and you feel back to your day. Like, do I feel good about what I did here or there? If you felt good about what you did, then you think about tomorrow and like you start planning your day. When you go to bed, your brain's going to remove the useless stuff. It's going to remember that, okay, this is what went good. This is what I'm going to focus on. So it's literally a way in which you can kind of prep your brain. Because when you're distracted with people and things, you're just going to be distracted with people and things, and your autonomic nervous system doesn't know what to pull out. So it'll pull whatever you're focused on, which might literally be the thing that's the problem. And so even if it's not a big deal, you might find yourself completely rewired to think that this is basically nothing but like the ground you're stepping on, where things are a lot simpler than you think. You just have to act. When you come up to a situation, you're thinking to yourself, what should I do? You're planning in the future. Your brain is not even, it's not even that it's not meant for that. It couldn't do it if it wanted to. Like, I don't understand it. Like, you're literally waiting for your spine to send you in a direction. And then you're just like, you get to say yes or no, go or no go. And so either you're going to go, like, or you're not. You understand? Like, you don't get to make another option. You don't get to make another option until you do that option, right? Because eventually you run out of stuff. You think, like, anything you do other than that option, if that, like, is going to be a lesser option, right? Like, there is an option that you're supposed to pick. You're supposed to pick something because this is what's most pertinent to you, right? Anything else that you go and you substitute, you're just literally substituting on yourself. You're literally telling yourself, you know what? That's too good for me in my life. You're basically telling yourself, sorry about that. You're basically telling yourself, like, you're not good enough for it, and then you're mapping that to your brain.